When you reach your late 60s, you start to realize that the small things in life often make the biggest difference. At 68, I did not expect anything new to move the needle for my health. I have lived a good long life here in Georgia, raised a family, built a career, and picked up my fair share of aches and pains along the way. And like many folks my age, I have had nights where sleep never really came, mornings when my joints reminded me that time moves forward, whether we want it to or not, and days when my digestion felt slower than it used to be. So when someone first mentioned using castor oil, of all things, to support sleep, comfort, and day-to-day wellness, I honestly brushed it off. It sounded like one of those old-fashioned remedies your grandparents talked about, the kind you keep in the back of the medicine cabinet but never touch. But curiosity has a funny way of showing up at the right time. I started reading, learning, and digging into what modern research actually says. And what I discovered surprised me. This old oil that has been around for thousands of years also has a place in modern wellness. It is not magic, and it is not a cure for anything, but when it is used safely and correctly. Many older adults say it helps them feel more comfortable, more relaxed, and more in tune with their bodies. That was something I wanted to understand for myself. So today, I want to share with you the beginning of this journey. Starting with what castor oil really is and why people our age may feel a difference when they use it. Castor oil comes from the seeds of a plant called Ricinus communis. At first glance, it is a simple, thick oil with a faint smell and a long history. For generations, families around the world kept a bottle in their home for all kinds of uses. What sets castor oil apart, though, is something called ricinoleic acid. This fatty acid makes up nearly 90% of the oil, and it is responsible for many of the benefits researchers talk about today. Scientists from publications such as the Journal of Ethnopharmacology and Phytotherapy Research have explored how ricinoleic acid behaves in the body, especially how it can support comfort and help calm certain processes that contribute to everyday discomfort. One of the things that stood out to me is how well castor oil absorbs through the skin. As we get older, many of us prefer gentle, topical approaches rather than taking more pills or supplements. Castor oil has a unique ability to sink into the skin slowly, almost like it is warming the tissues underneath. That deep absorption is one reason many adults use it on areas that feel tight or stiff. It is not a replacement for medical care, but it can be a gentle way to support the body's natural processes. Another interesting point is how ricinoleic acid interacts with the body's natural inflammatory response. Researchers have found that this fatty acid can help calm certain enzymes that are involved in everyday irritation and discomfort. This does not mean it replaces medication or treats any condition, but it helps explain why older adults often describe a sense of relief or softness in areas that feel overworked. Castor oil is also known for how it supports the lymphatic system, which is like the body's internal cleaning network. As we age, this system does not always move as efficiently as it once did. Some wellness practitioners believe that applying castor oil in specific areas, especially over the abdomen, may help encourage gentle movement in this system. Again, it is not a medical treatment, but it can be part of a calming nightly routine that helps the body unwind. So as we move forward, I want you to think of castor oil not as a miracle cure, but as a simple, natural tool that older adults have used for generations and that modern science is beginning to understand more clearly. In the next part, I will walk you through the reasons why so many people over 60 explore castor oil as a way to support their comfort, their sleep, and their daily well-being. As I started using castor oil more consistently, I noticed there were 5 areas where it made a real difference in my day-to-day life. These are things many of us struggle with as we get older. And while castor oil isn't a replacement for medical care, it can be a gentle and supportive tool. Let me walk you through each of them. The first one, and probably the most noticeable for me, was joint stiffness. You know how it is waking up in the morning, knees not bending like they used to, hands feeling tight before you've even had your coffee. I've had years of wear and tear, especially in my knees and lower back. What helped was applying a bit of warm castor oil directly onto those joints before bed. I would gently massage it in, put on a soft cloth or old towel to keep it covered, and just let it absorb while I rested. After a few nights, I started waking up with less of that tight, slow-moving feeling. There's a reason for that. Ricinoleic acid in castor oil has been shown in small studies to help calm the body's natural inflammatory response. It doesn't act like a painkiller, but it helps create an environment where your body isn't constantly on high alert. That gentle support made mornings feel a little smoother. The second benefit was one I didn't expect: better sleep. Like many folks my age, sleep hasn't come easy these past few years. I'd toss and turn, wake up multiple times, and rarely feel rested. But once I started applying castor oil to specific areas, especially over my liver, the bottom of my feet, and sometimes even my temples, I noticed something shift. It wasn't instant, but by the 3rd or 4th night, I began sleeping longer stretches. Researchers believe castor oil may help stimulate your parasympathetic nervous system, which is the part of your body responsible for rest and digest. In simple terms, it helps you wind down. The act of applying the oil became part of a calming bedtime ritual. No screens, no bright lights, just me, some warm oil, and a few deep breaths. Now, let's talk about something a little more personal: digestion. Constipation is one of the most common issues people face after 60. Whether it's due to diet, medication, or simply the natural slowing of our systems, it can really affect how we feel. Castor oil has long been known as a natural laxative when taken by mouth, and the FDA even lists it as an over-the-counter option. But here's the thing: taking it internally isn't always comfortable, and it's not right for everyone. That's why I focused on using it externally. Placing a castor oil pack over my lower abdomen a few nights a week helped things move along more naturally. It's believed to gently stimulate the intestines through the skin, without causing cramping or urgency. It's subtle, but effective, and honestly, much easier on the system. The fourth benefit I noticed was with my skin. Aging skin tends to get dry, thin, and sometimes itchy. I'd tried lotions and creams, but many of them were filled with fragrances or ingredients I couldn't pronounce. Castor oil, on the other hand, is just one ingredient. I started mixing a few drops of castor oil with a little almond oil after my evening shower. I'd apply it to my arms, legs, and even my face. Within days, my skin felt softer, less irritated, and more hydrated. What's happening is that castor oil forms a barrier that helps lock in moisture. It also has antioxidants that may help reduce the appearance of fine lines and protect the skin from everyday damage. And finally, the fifth area where castor oil showed up for me was circulation. Cold hands and feet. Swelling in the ankles, it's something many of us deal with. When I massaged warm castor oil into my calves and feet at night, I felt a noticeable warming sensation. Over time, the swelling went down a bit, and my feet didn't feel as cold in the mornings. Some studies suggest castor oil may help improve blood flow by relaxing the blood vessels slightly, allowing more oxygen and nutrients to reach your tissues. Again, it's not dramatic or overnight, but small improvements like that really add up. Each of these benefits, from joints and sleep to digestion, skin, and circulation, may seem small on their own. But together, they helped me feel more comfortable in my own body. Not younger, not invincible, just more at ease. And sometimes, that's exactly what we need. If you're anything like me, you probably want to know what to expect before you try something new. When I first started using castor oil packs each night, I wasn't sure what I'd notice or if I'd notice anything at all. But I kept a little notebook by the bed and wrote down how I felt each morning. What surprised me was how the changes showed up slowly at first, then started to build. It wasn't dramatic like flipping a switch, but more like turning a dimmer up one notch at a time. Here's what the experience looked like for me, night by night, during that first week. Night 1 started quietly. I soaked the cloth, placed it over my right side just below the rib cage where the liver sits, put on a soft t-shirt, and went to bed. Within an hour, I felt a gentle warmth not just from the oil, but from the way my body settled into rest. My sleep that night was still a little restless, but I remember waking up feeling like something had shifted slightly. There was a subtle sense of calm in my stomach and chest, and a little less tension in my shoulders. By night 2, I noticed my digestion was changing. I had less bloating after dinner and didn't wake up with that heavy feeling I sometimes get in the mornings. I also felt more relaxed going to bed. I had started rubbing a small amount of castor oil into the soles of my feet and my temples, like I'd read about. That simple act, just taking the time to care for myself, helped signal to my body that it was okay to rest. On the third night, things started to feel different. I slept